Hello, and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from the 25th dimension. I'll be reading from a transcript of the session, and when I refer to Lorrayne, I'm speaking of my practitioner who's asking me questions I've prepared in advance of the session. And when I refer to me, I'm speaking of myself under hypnosis, which means the answers are coming from 25th. Without further ado, I'm going to start reading here. So here is the first question. Can we change our mind about all going to New Earth at the same time? Me. No, we already answered this question. We are stuck here because of the different personalities of the people doing this work. We are dealing with an emotional endeavor, and there is no judgment on how each one of us is doing this work. And the word stuck, of course, is the word we are using. The 25th doesn't think that we are stuck, that there is a heavy amount of judgment in that word. And as you well know, the 25th always tells us there is no judgment in how our experience plays out and however we want to experience. Lorrayne, next question. Carolyn posted, between my meditations and my dreams, a very obvious theme, at least to me, is that I'm being told we are way too impatient as 3D beings. Time is so much slower here. There is a part of us, I know this has been said already, that is already on New Earth. And Lorrayne here made a comment saying that the 25th has already answered this question. But this is fine because Lorrayne is in the habit of always reading through every question, no matter what, because the 25th always adds layers or nuance. So this is great that she does this. So continuing the question. We just need to tidy up what we're doing here. And I'm told it's individuality, these things that we have to work through. And then we will each move on to New Earth separately. We won't know the difference. We will know this when we're there, that this piece of our essence has moved on. Clea, I heard the beach and the laughter today. I was there on New Earth. This is the second time in 2 weeks that I've been on its beach. Can you please comment on this since you've told us that we are all moving there together at the same time? Me. Yes, so we already answered this. So we're just going to summarize here. Basically, we are all moving together. As long as there is any focus on this reality, we are still in this reality, even though we already just finished saying most of the time we are gone. We will be on New Earth. What we mean by we're going to move to New Earth together, it means that we are not coming back here. We are actually going to take this down and it's done. This planet is done. So we're not going to have this until we all move. And we almost said physically, we mean it as in we will believe we're taking our bodies. We are not. We already know on New Earth, we're not going to have our bodies. But in a way, you can think of it as we will physically move to New Earth, meaning that we will create new bodies over there that, we already talked about. So in that sense. But at the same time, it's not like we're here now. Again, we're barely ever here, but we are here in terms of this is still where our focus, where our conscious focus is. We're not, even though our higher self is all over the place, it's not like we are focused on Andromeda right now, just like we're not focused on New Earth right now. And we're all over the matrix. We're all over the multiverse. We're in the 25th right now. It's where we truly are. We are in the 25th, but we're not focused on the 25th right now. We're not seeing, when we look around, we're not thinking, oh, what does the 25th look like? It doesn't look like anything. We already said it's all dark. They were chuckling. Our focus, our conscious awareness is on this planet still, whether the higher self is here or not most of the time. We already said we were never here all the time to start with. And so that's all there is to it. So in that sense, of course, she's aware of New Earth. She's had visions of New Earth, just like Clea's had many visions of New Earth that we've shared with you and that we have interpreted for you or that we have passed on to you during these sessions. But at the same time, the plan is that we are going to move to New Earth together. So we are not moving separately in that sense. Now, she's absolutely correct when she says we're going to be doing, each one of us has to finish certain things. However, even the ones that have finished certain things are still going to be here. Maybe less and less, but we're still going to be here until we leave. Especially when it comes to the 12,000, and she is one of the 12,000. We are going to be the last to leave because we have to take this down. It's a very mechanical thing we're going to be doing. It's a very physical thing we're going to be doing. We're going to have to take this down. It won't take a long time. It's not a process like we're using a little picket to take down a building. So it's going to take a year or whatever it is. It's going to be instantaneous, really, but it is still something that we're going to be doing. So we're not going to be gone to New Earth in the sense of now we're focused on New Earth and we're living there. Not yet. Our focus is still here. We know we're still focused here. And we're laughing. We're aware of it. So yes and no. So yes, she's getting this information, which is wonderful that she's realizing that, she's so focused on New Earth because she's completed as well. So of course, that's what she's focused on. And she's aware of the fact that we are in different places and less here. That's really what she is describing. But at the same time, no, we are all going together. This is why we're waiting. Otherwise, we would have gone already. Lorrayne, thank you. Okay. Can we intend for our personal veil to be thicker until we leave so we can forget or have amnesia around the fact that someone is an NPC, so it's not so obvious to us at all times? And the reason I wrote this question down is because sometimes, especially for the people closest to us, so our loved ones, we wish we didn't know they were NPCs. I know I have done that many times. And so I was thinking, can we pretend that they're still here? Me, no, we don't care. We really don't care. And the ones of us who are aware of the fact that we create our reality, we don't care. Even the ones that are resisting, we just spoke about it in regards to this person. Even the ones that are resisting are very aware that people are NPCs. They then go back and correct themselves and tell themselves from a 3D perspective, no, that's crazy. Oh no, I'm sure there's an explanation for that. No, it's fine. It cannot be. But they know too. Every one of us knows that something is very off and that we're surrounded by NPCs. We already said, even at 3D level, it is now obvious. Even the NPCs themselves talk about other NPCs because stuff is breaking down. So no, we cannot create a thicker veil because we don't care. We don't even care enough to improve our own experience here. Why would we care about this? And then we're chuckling because it makes sense if we're not even doing anything to make our own lives easier. We don't care. We don't care about a lot of stuff. As long as we can, at a surface level, pretend. Again, I'm pretending that, I go outside and I say hi to the neighbor. It's good enough. Of course, at the same time, I think, yeah, he's not here. You know what? The body's here. Let me say hi. He's a nice person. That's good enough. Lorrayne, okay, why do we bother to have an avatar, NPC, in the Matrix when we can pretend to have a body, like our brothers and sisters who have gone to alien planets are doing right now? Me. Yeah. So that is actually an interesting question because we really don't have to have NPC bodies. But the reason we do is because, one, we like it. We like the idea of creating these bodies, just like we create everything else. We create trees, we create plants, animal bodies. It's just fun. It's like, again, it's almost like you're in a play and you're creating costumes and you say, I want to wear these costumes. You could imagine a costume, but you see, we don't want to always be imagining things. We do want to create things. We do want to create things of substance, concrete, that you can touch. And that's when we create a planet like a board game where if you look at it from inside the matrix, you're like, oh, this is real. I can touch this. We already said, even though this is all holographic, if I bang my hand against the wall, I'm going to feel the wall. It's going to be very real. I could even hurt myself. So we do want things to seem real or to be real, quote unquote, objectively. This is why we created NPCs. Do we have to do that to be in the matrix? No, we already said we don't even have to imagine bodies. We already said there are planets where we are discarnate. We don't have bodies at all. However, because of how we set up the games, we have chosen to have NPC bodies. This allows us not only to experience what we just said, but also to keep the game going, even when there are no essences present. So we already talked about NPC bodies being available, being empty, and being available for us essences to come in. And so this setup has a lot of benefits for us. And that's why we've created it this way. Do we have to do it this way? We do not. We already said, for example, on New Earth, we're going to imagine our bodies, but we're not going to have NPCs. So that experience cannot be had by an essence coming from somewhere else wanting to have an NPC, have a turn on New Earth and say, I'm just going to go into an NPC for a little while. And same with 3D chambers. There are no NPCs there. Our friends have taken their own bodies. Some have taken their actual bodies from here. Some are imagining their bodies. And once they are done with that experience, we'll shut down the 3D chambers. Our friends on alien planets that have gone there, they're imagining their bodies. Some have taken their bodies, not all of them. We said that there were issues, and that's when they started leaving their bodies behind. And there are no NPCs there. So again, now you're removing a certain experience that could be had because there are no NPCs. So we do like to have the NPCs. It just gives us an additional layer to play a game. That's all. We don't have to. We don't have to do anything. Nothing has to look the way that it looks. Everything could look completely different. Lorrayne, we are quite creative creatures. Okay, what is the status on the other 3D planets at this time? They have rebalanced the polarity like we have, but they're also physically changing 3D since there will be no takedown happening there. So the reality has to match the new vibration. What are some of the positive societal changes that they are seeing? And I'm kind of curious to see what could have been here, basically. So I did enjoy the sensor. I hope you do too. Me. Yeah, so the other 3D planets have already made a lot of progress in the last couple of years, especially after everybody left here and we rebalanced the polarity. They've basically started dismantling a lot of the centralized systems. They had major centralization. We talked about the fact that they were enslaved by AI. They have created a little bit of what we envisioned for this planet. They have created more decentralized systems where people are joining each other and living almost like in getaway communities or in communities where they're not as connected to technology or whatever they were dealing with. And so there is a lot of that going on. Now, in a year's time, because they have a similar concept of time that we have, obviously you wouldn't have a completely new planet going on. However, because the polarity has changed, there's been a lot of momentum towards these self-sustaining, what you might think of here as self-sustaining communities, or a new way of living that's more, it's closer to nature and all those things. Again, very similar to what we were envisioning doing here as well, which means that there are big systems. Some of them are still in place on the surface, again, because they're not intending for that to continue, but they're still in place enough to where it's giving them time to create these other communities, as opposed to having a complete collapse and all of a sudden you're in a bad situation. But weakening, very much weakening, until it would almost be like a moot point that, you know, this is the past. We're not doing this anymore. So societal changes have to do with the fact that people are detaching themselves from technology. Again, their AI was the main slavery system there. And so they're detaching themselves just very easily from the fact that they're almost going, again, organic as opposed to being so plugged in. So those are the changes that are happening, but it's not transformed yet. It's not like you wouldn't even recognize it. It's almost like the fine line that we are writing here, where if you really think of what's happening and what's not happening, despite the fact that we're threatened that a lot of things would happen, you can read into it. You can kind of see it. You can kind of be like, well, that's an interesting pattern that I'm seeing, but you wouldn't necessarily say, oh, Facebook has collapsed, Google has collapsed, YouTube has collapsed. The banks have collapsed, the corporations have collapsed just yet. But if you actually go digging, a lot of corporations, Claire was actually just mentioning Disney, but she also has been watching other corporations. A lot of corporations are not pulling nearly as much as they were before. You can see that. And even at 3D level, this totally makes sense because, I mean, we already said, there's only half of the people left that were here before. So there are not even enough people to maintain these corporations, either as consumers or from the other end of it to work for these companies. And so, for example, Claire runs into it with real estate, where a lot of projects cannot even be completed because there are no supplies, because the system is collapsing. It's just that we are not told in these terms. You know, we don't hear it through them on these terms. But you hear about issues all the time, and people don't have enough employees to hire and all these things. So yeah, it wouldn't be like a night and day situation, but there's definitely a change in society, and definitely for the better in their evaluation. The polarity obviously has been matched at a 3D level. Lorrayne. And here we are stepping into the section of the session that I normally refer to as personal questions, meaning more of the questions that are more at an individual level. Now, we already know very well there is no individuality. If I have a question, then it means many people are dealing with the same issue. However, I use my personal life as a springboard to ask the question so I can relate to the answer and I can make sense of things when they answer. And obviously, when I share these with you is because the answer is universal and relevant to all of us. Otherwise, obviously, that would be a moot point. I wouldn't be sharing it. All right, so here we are. My ex-husband, Jack, has been leaning toward the dark and went back to the 25th because he was so disappointed with how he led his life here in this last incarnation. Surely, the fact that he treated me like he did and screwed up his life contributed heavily to his disappointment with himself. However, it was also pivotal in helping me achieve what I had set up for myself. So we worked in unison. Would he have chosen any way to lead the life he led, even if I had not come into the picture? Or did he partially do what he did to give me reasons to leave him, since we make agreements to help each other have certain experiences as essences, especially considering, since at essence level, we all know what's going on, that I was supposed to do the work I am doing in preparation for the takedown? Me. Yeah, so Clea is wondering, and again, this is a little bit of not so much guilt, but at least feeling responsible. And she's thinking, my goodness, he became so disappointed to the point of going back to the 25th, which again, we said is no punishment. And they were laughing. Nothing bad has happened to him. But Clea thinks, oh, he could have gone on and had fun in a 3D chamber or on an alien planet or whatever. But instead, because he helped me, then by default, he was looking at me being so of the light, and they were laughing here. And it's not quite how I phrased that, but I can see that they're just being funny about it, because it almost seems like because I did this, then of course he had to do that. And this was the gist of my question. I was feeling responsible about this. So they keep going here. They say, and of course we say this laughing, then therefore he had to be very much leaning on the side of the dark to push me to leave him, etc., etc. So now she's feeling responsible. So no, we would say no. And they were chuckling here. He's an ascended master, and everything he has done, he has chosen to do. Now, does it mean that had he been interacting with somebody else, he would have had exactly the same behavior? Possibly not. But it doesn't matter. It means that he would have been working on a different experience. So that's all there is to it. This other experience could have been even worse or lower vibration from a 3D perspective. It doesn't really matter. The point is, he agreed fully, knowingly, of his own free will to aid Clea and do certain things and having a certain experience. He was also having his own experience at the same time that Clea aided him with. And therefore, that's all there is to it. He then decided, looking back, that it was time for the takedown. And he decided, you know what? I need a rest. This has been really tough. And that's all there is to it. Again, it's not that going back to the 25th is a worse decision than remaining in the game. He did not have to do this. He didn't decide because, again, he was saying, oh my goodness, how could I do this to this angel? And they were cracking up. And certainly, I don't think I ever thought of myself as being an angel, but I can see that they're exaggerating for a fact that I think is pretty funny. And we laugh because, of course, and Claire didn't mean it that way, but that's how the question is coming across, as in he sacrificed himself, and not only, but he compared himself and said, how could I do this? Of course, we're having fun with this answer, and certainly there is no judgment. And this is a good question that Claire really wants to know the answer to, because she's thinking, again, she's trying to take responsibility for other people. And we're just saying, no, we are ascended masters. Nothing happens unless it's out of our own volition. And this is always, always true. He has done everything he wanted to do. And then when he had his choice, like we all have, including us, we decided to stay longer. Is that a better or worse decision than if we had left? And he decided to go to the 25th. Is that a better or worse decision than going somewhere else? No, there is no judgment on anything, including our choices of where we're going to go after the takedown. So that's all there is to it. And I wanted to share this because I know that a lot of us, we are going through this review period while we're here. We've already done the bulk of it, but since we're here, we're still reviewing our life and the meaning of what we have done here and our alignment, etc. So I have thought of the people around me and what they have chosen. And so, of course, when I hear that somebody has gone back to the 25th, I'm like, oh my goodness, what are the chances? In fact, I've had a few people around me who have gone back to 25th, and I'm thinking, oh boy, is this does this mean anything in terms of their interaction with me? So Yeah, so if you know anybody who's gone back to 25th and you've been wondering, so there you go. At any rate, thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.